Last year, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the start of the Reimagine the Canals competition. The goal was simple: reward the best ideas for how New York's canals can serve as an engine for economic development and become a magnet for recreation and tourism. New York is continuing the celebration of the Erie Canal Bicentennial, and this year marks the 100th anniversary of its current canal system. So the time was right for a different way of thinking about one of the state's most important assets. The response was overwhelming. There were 145 entries from 7 countries. They proved that something old really can be new again. An international panel of judges narrowed an impressive list down to 7 finalists. Here's a look at their entries. The Go the Distance team tackled a long-standing problem for many canal visitors. They want to take a multi-day trip, but didn't have a place to stay if they weren't on a large boat. This proposal would eliminate that problem. After a long day, hiking, biking, or paddling, travelers would be able to store their gear, clean up, and enjoy the amenities in friendly canal towns.
Be a nice bed, very comfortable private bathroom, just a great place where you could unwind, hang out, and then go into town and find out what's going on.
The idea behind Go the Distance is that if you build it, they will come and keep coming back.
If they come, when they come, they'll fall in love with it and come back.
The canals are about a lot more than just traveling from one point to another. They're also a source of fun. The Erie Armada proposal aims to make that happen by putting New York's booming craft beer industry at the center of an unusual water race. It'll feature human-powered boats made with items you're more likely to find at a brewery than a marina. Creativity is key, so is the ability to float.
We're really focusing on an implementation of 15 unique crafts. These crafts would by and large be created by collaborations between local breweries along the canal corridor and breweries from afar.
The proposal also envisions parties at the start and end of each race in canal communities with ties to the brewing industry.
We think beer and the canal go really well together, and it's a way to get people up here, and then we show them the great natural beauty of the canal corridor and all the great recreation you can do on the corridor as well.
But fun on the Erie Canal doesn't have to end when the navigation season is over. Indeed, it can still happen even when most of the water is gone from the canal. That's the driving force behind the Winter Waterway proposal. It would use a floating pontoon system to create a place on the canal to play hockey, skate, make ice sculptures, or just sit in a sauna.
The weather is becoming unpredictable, and so it's very hard to sustain the winter programming that used to happen on the canal. And so we're trying to do that artificially.
Winter activities on the canal used to be more common. Now they can be again. And the pontoon system is portable, so more than one community can benefit from this attraction.
People will go there because it's beautiful, it's fun, it's engaging. The first goal is to make a place on the canal that is a great place to be for the public.
The more people interact with the canals and the towns they travel through, the more they like them and might even want to live there. Real estate developers have discovered that, but mainly in larger cities like Rochester and Schenectady. The Pocket Neighborhoods proposal wants to take this idea a step further. It wants to use the canal as a focal point to create tight-knit communities that share common spaces. It would also allow residents to walk into a downtown to shop and eat.
You have a lot of vacant land around the canals because we used to have a lot of industry here, and some of that has left. And you have big open parcels. So those are ideal sized parcels to put new kinds of uses like housing, community buildings, that type of thing.
This plan could attract other development and enable smaller canal towns to not be overshadowed by their larger neighbors. The first such neighborhood would be in the village of Canastota, but it could be replicated in other canal towns. After all, hundreds of communities owe their existence to the canals. Now, the canals can help them once again.
By attracting more people to live along the canal, you're engaging a new audience that's going to care about the history and the stewardship of the canal, and it will help New York State Canals and New York State pass the baton to a new generation.
Another proposal seeks to get people to canal towns in a more artful way, literally. New York already has many visitors who enjoy a deep well of art attractions. But they've never seen anything like this. Works that indelibly link both the art world and canals.
That's actually the ultimate goal of this project, is to ride on the idea of cultural tourism, most likely art installation to begin with, and it can be in land, it can be in water. With all these, let's say, injection of art and culture, people will stay.
The hope is that once people come to visit, they'll stay and find out there's a lot more to do and see.
The retainment of visitors is important, so they consume and then they also work in the communities, and that's one of the strategy we thought and we hope that will help to revive the towns along the canal.
Just thinking of towns like Canajoharie, could there be some sculptural element that's tied to the water? But while people are there, they realize that the Arkell Museum is there, and we'll go and attend that.
We are very proud of our people, our presence, our landscape, the canal history, and I think the blending of all of that with really exceptional works is important.
That the canals offer up mile upon mile of scenic beauty is hardly a secret. But the water itself can also be the source of that beauty. In the process, it can attract new visitors, those with legs and wings. The Upstate Archipelago Plan would create floodable landscapes in western New York. They could provide new recreational opportunities as well as a resting place for the migratory birds that come through the area.
Everything that we are proposing considers how to diversify habitats, how to create a diversity of landscape types.
Efforts would be centered in the town of Clyde, which is located on the Erie Canalway Trail and is primed to welcome visitors in search of new canal adventures.
There's a lot of history to the place. There's a lot of natural resources, and I think by kind of combining these things and the trails and the pathways and bike routes and other things and the canal, we can kind of connect these things.
Water from the canal is used for many other purposes. It provides drinking water. It's what keeps many a golf course green. It supplies water to cool factory equipment, and it's used by farmers in western New York to irrigate crops.
The location we're in now, we actually have to pipe the water from about a mile away from a stream that is fed by a siphon almost 4 miles away out of the canal.
This plan would expand the existing irrigation network and allow thousands more acres to be used as farmland.
Irrigation infrastructure is expensive. That's a large capital cost. To some degree, that sort of kept people from irrigating more. But if they could, it would give them more resiliency in terms of during dry periods, and it would also let them grow crops they might not necessarily grow. So they might grow more vegetables and potentially more fruits, which are high-value crops.
It also allows farmers to get a greater yield from their existing land and help pump an estimated $25 million into the local economy.
There's a really good opportunity here, one, to make our lives a little bit easier, but two, to allow us to put out a really good product continuously and consistently.
7 entries, all with great ideas about how to keep New York's canals vibrant and vital for decades to come. Thanks to these teams, we no longer have to imagine what the future of the canals will be. The future is now.